Welcome to Eden Equips, the podcast that shares real stories, practical tools to help parents, carers, educators feel equipped for the journey, raising and supporting neurodivergent children and young people. Whether you are tuning in with a cup of coffee, you're in the car, or you have a precious quiet moment, I am so glad you're here. I'm Rebecca, and today we are joined by my wonderful dear friend Eden. Many of you who followed us for a long time will recognise Eden and have met Eden at various points, as Eden has been with us at Eden Consultancy kind of during your teacher training days and your first year of teaching. Eden has such a big heart for those with additional needs. Her journey has been a personal one that's led into loads of different routes, actually: creating youth club for teens with additional needs, becoming a qualified specialist teacher, teaching children and young people with complex needs, and now stepping into a new role supporting young adults. Eden, I'm delighted you're here with us today. I feel like we're playing pretend. With us today, I'm really excited for everyone to hear your story and just hear a little bit more from you as well. I think even in that intro, or if anyone's ever met you, whether that's in your work life or professional life, they will immediately be able to catch that you've got such a big heart for children and young people with any form of differing or additional needs. Where's that love and passion come from? Where did it begin for you?
It began when I was 8. My brother was born with Down syndrome, and I didn't really have any concept before that. I imagine I went to primary school, there was probably young people with me,
right?
Maybe undiagnosed or not, but I didn't have any idea. When Carter was born, I remember being like, what is that? I'd never heard the word Down syndrome before.
Yeah.
Was very confused at what that meant for him. You know, I asked my dad, will he walk? Will he talk? I remember thinking silly things like, will he play football? Like all the things I thought my brother, when I'd pictured my brother, I was like, oh, maybe he's not gonna be that anymore.
Right.
And mum and dad didn't know either. Like they didn't have a great understanding, but just were kind of like, no, he's your brother. And so I then loved like looking after him. Like he was like my wee doll, you know. And he had like quite complex medical stuff, like holes in his heart, and had peg feeds and the nasal tube. And I loved like doing all that with my dad, like looking after him, putting his feet on, and like when his oxygen dropped, Mum said it was always like me in the other room being like, Mum, I'm going to turn his oxygen up, and like sorting him out. And I think then just slowly, or like there's videos of me, you know, when he's like walking and I'm like, Mom, he's walking, you know. I was like so happy and excited to like see his progress. And I think then just from that, it took me a while to realize like, oh, I want a career in this. I think I was probably like, it was really when I was starting to think of careers, maybe like 15. I was like, actually, I think it's going to be special needs that I want to do. It was the only thing I really was like, oh, I feel like I could be good at that, you know. And I think teaching was the only one I really knew about. I think actually if I look back, I would have loved physio or speech or like there's actually so many fields now that like you can OT like so many, but teaching was the one that I was like, you know what, I'll go down that route.
Fantastic. I love that. And I think even to hear that so many will probably relate to that in that personal kind of aspect of it naturally becoming a part of who you are as well. And I think also really beautiful to highlight that natural, because I'm thinking of parents here maybe listening, there's natural questions from a sibling as well about their sibling who has different needs and being able to understand, but like then being able to then grow into like this incredibly empathetic heart for, and opening your eyes. Like I know you do talk about that a lot, about how your brothers opened your eyes to a different universe, like a different
100%.
world.
Even like him going to special school and like being around his friends, and I did work experience in his school and stuff, that even like learning that, you know, Carter, Down syndrome is a spectrum. Like it's a spectrum. I think I thought like this is what kids with Down syndrome present as. You know, and then learning very quickly, like no, there's a scale here as well. Because you know, with all Carter wouldn't really have any complex behavioural difficulties, and now he's not got any medical needs now. So all that I had to learn through my own experience. But for him, for just the like general, you know, understanding and that empathy and like just realizing how fun that world was, I think is what opened up for me.
Yeah. A bit off piece maybe in what we were going for, and we'll just like briefly go down this, but I'm just even thinking loads of conversations even recently I've been having around like siblings. Would you have anything to like encourage siblings of anybody who has like any form of additional needs? Like,
I think
how it's been.
There's obviously that like thing online of like the glass child, isn't it? That thing of like the other child is like maybe not seen as much because their sibling with special needs is really seen. And I think actually it's trying to embrace the other side of that, of just being like, no, they're just my sibling. Like, you don't have to see them as like, I never treated Carter like he had Down syndrome. I've never treated him like, I still make fun of him.
Oh, it's a true brother-sister relationship.
Like, I still will be like, Carter, you know, wise up. Don't do that. Or like, I like, and some people sometimes are like, you can't speak to him like that. You're like I can, he's my brother.
Right.
I think it's just like, and I know everyone's relationships are different. I know Carter doesn't present as everybody else would, but I think it's just being like embracing, like, no, they're my sibling. Like, you don't have to treat them as if they are like, you know, to treat them as if they're different, but you know, treat them as if you are separate entities. Like, you are like a different child. I always just treated Carter as if, well, this is my brother and this is who he is. And I think if you're a sibling, it's also then, you know, maybe if you are feeling like that, it's being open with your parent. Like, my mum and dad were always very like supportive to me and my sister. Always made sure that we were seen, and that they knew that we knew that. But being open with people, or like making sure, like, if you are finding it overwhelming in your house, like, I know there is some days, even if I was working in quite an intense environment, if I came home and like, Carter was never really in a bad mood, but if he was in a bad mood, I'd be like, right, I need to take some time here, because actually it's hard when it's everywhere sometimes. So just knowing kind of what space you need. I think it's okay to be like, you know, my family, I need a bit of space sometimes.
Boundaries in that too.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I love that. You spoke there about teaching, that you kind of like jumped into that, and that was the journey you kind of ended up on, and that's been your journey up until really, really recently, has been in teaching. And we talk a lot in this podcast about schools and the tension often around them for parents and carers. As a teacher, I know you've experienced so much and seen stories from loads of different perspectives. And I'd love to start maybe, what were some of your favourite things about teaching young people with additional needs? What part of it did you love?
Like, so much of it. I actually do miss like the really fun side of teaching. I loved like the creative side of special teaching, that it wasn't like so rigid with your workbooks and your, you know, like all these real, I love attention autism. I loved like sensory stories and finding really niche things of teaching. I loved that. I loved when it was like, you know, you worked on something for ages and then one day it clicked. That kind of real moment of progress. It was so slow, or like maybe no one else would notice it, but like the victory that me and my staff team would feel was just like so amazing. I miss that a lot. I miss also the like feeling of, you know, seeing a young person kind of being like, you know, something's going on there, they're maybe dysregulated or something's changed, and then working that out and being able to support them, being like, oh, that was what it was, and you were telling me that. And like that real moment of like connection and trust, I think you agree with like a young person. I love that. I love that like I've got you now, you know, I know what you're thinking. It's like as if you've read their mind, and then they see it, like you could see it in their face, like, oh, they know what
stepped into
like
their
I'm a trusted
world.
adult now. And I love that. And I find that so like, I don't like the word rewarding, because I don't think, you know, I don't want to do it. I don't work with people with special needs just because it's rewarding for me.
Yes, I hear that.
You know, that's not the reason, but actually that's what it is. It's a privilege, and it's like a victory. It's like like I've understood you, and I can see the relief on their face that like that's what I was asking for. You know, I love that.
And I know though, in that journey, especially, so like when we first, even like personally, I think when we first met, you were starting or in the midst of like teacher training, like in that, and I knew that journey for you was full of quite a lot of contention, based upon the quality of some of that stuff, and I think that's really important to highlight in terms of teacher like training, and I don't even just mean like, oh, I'm getting, but like early, like I'm a trainee teacher, what input am I actually getting? How did you find that experience? Here in Northern Ireland, because it's different.
Knew from the very, like when in my teaching interview, I said the question at the end, I was like, I want to be a special needs teacher. And like, what's your course for that? And it was, you know, it's a primary course, but there'll be special needs weaved in. And honestly, like, I know if I hadn't been doing my own stuff in the background, that there was a real lack or just repetitiveness. I mean, really, it was just like, here's special need, here's autism, and this is ADHD, and this is Down syndrome, and this is, you know, just facts. And it's then you were given the choice to do the placement, like the module, if you wanted. So I think out of like 90 or however many there were in my year, there was like 19 of us did that. And I was very frustrated at even comments from peers. People here now, probably our teachers, would be like, oh, it's amazing that you want to do that. It's just not for me.
I remember this.
It's not for me. And I hate that comment. I hate it, because like, what do you mean it's not for you? You know, we can't say that anymore for teachers.
No, correct.
It's not, this whole group of people are not for you.
Yeah.
When you're now in a mainstream classroom where they're going to be there, you know, you can't pick and choose your pupils. And obviously we know now even more so, like oversubscription of special skills, that they're given no choice. A lot of young people who should be maybe in a special skill setting or whatever that looks like, or just in mainstream. And so I remember being like, it's mad to me that all of us aren't going through this, because you've got, or even the fact that like a lot of the special provision, like attention autism or sensory stories, like actually maybe young people who aren't on the spectrum, haven't got like any additional needs, they also will learn so well through those amazing activities. So actually they're valuable for both. Like it doesn't have to be like the separate thing.
Teaching, and even all that like different ways of teaching emotions and communication and things like that. And I think even being able to be aware of the fact that in and amongst of like 4 teachers everywhere, like trainee teachers, actually changing, and who knows, maybe in a few years it has or whatever, but like being able to just be like, everyone needs to know this, everyone needs to understand this is part of teaching, and this is a really, really important part of that. I think one of my favorite quotes at the minute, just even thinking about that linking, is a quote that goes, disability and neurodivergence is a teacher. It disrupts our conventional view of what is considered normal or the right way to be. It is a rich and fertile ground in which you can cultivate the desire and understanding of a difference rather than eliminate it. That is like really challenged me recently, of being like, it is a teacher, like you will learn so much, and other people will learn, other young people as well. Have there been key things that you think, I have been taught so much by these young people? I think for me it's that like slow, like not everything has to be rushed. I think I take that so much in now, probably not as well as I should, but you know, I learnt so much in my teaching of things don't have to be taught overnight. You know, this was like some of my pupils from September to June. It was like the smallest change, but like it was so impactful to them. Big wins.
And to realise that like, okay, you know, solutions don't have to be given overnight, or even for my own patients. I think I'm not very patient probably in like my other outside of life, but in that sector of my work, like
you're being taught
to be taught to be patient, and just sometimes, you know, if a young person's lying on the floor and they don't want to get up, okay, I'm going to lie beside you and we're going to just wait it out here, you know, and actually to not feel frustrated at that and not feel like rushed in life. I think I find like real beauty in that, or like just appreciating those small moments. I love how and obviously when it's dysregulation, it's not great, but when it's like big emotions in terms of like showing so much excitement, like my brother does not shy away from like showing those big emotions. Absolutely. And like really like he's not ashamed to be like clapping his hands and like rubbing his hands together, and he's really, and we all like joke in our family now, like when he's excited we'll like also be like, oh, he's clapping our hands. But he like he's not afraid of being like, oh, this is so embarrassing, like that I show so much excitement over that. Like I love that. I love like that
purity of emotions.
Just embrace that joy so much. And like I just always find that, you know, obviously then you feel the big emotions of like that on the other side that are like hurting them. The like side of, you know, joy and laughter, and like even, you know, when you feel like that hysterical pupil, he's like running around the classroom and you're like, you're doing my head in, like you're meant to be sitting down, but they're like laughing their head off. Like, and it's just like, oh, you're having so much fun, and you're not afraid to like. And I think it's the purity of it, isn't it? Like I love that. I especially like for me in teaching, like that was one of the biggest things, like
pure joy.
Yeah.
You know, there were, oh my gosh, there were so many
Of,
tricky
like
moments.
silliness of like
Silliness. I think I remember once, I don't know why this is such a core memory for me, but with my Key Stage 1 class, and we were trying to teach 3D shapes, and we were doing like a feely bag, you know, so you come up and try and feel what the shape might be and whatever. And then one of the individuals pulled out like a cone, one of the cone shapes, like a circular base cone or whatever it was. And he was just like, I just remember him going, a party hat. Like this.
Yeah.
And honestly, all the kids thought it was the best thing.
Yeah.
So they all wanted to try it on. They were singing happy birthday to each other. And I don't know why, but like it got to me so much. I just remember tears flowing down my face. Like I completely the class was so dysregulated because we were all just like laughing, and then the kids see you laugh and they're laughing. But I remember then even on a course I was doing, like one of my therapeutic courses around like, you know, the chemicals released in like joy and how important that is for your brain, and like why so many of core memories are like joyful memories. That, and then I remember like silly moments happening that like, but my kids remembered those moments.
Or more
I remember one of my boys was being interviewed. This was wild. Like I was so nervous this happening. Maybe like a year or two later, he was being interviewed by the radio and being asked like, what's your favorite thing about school? And you know, you're like, I have no idea what you're going to say here. And he said, I loved learning about the party hats.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I explained, I was like, oh, we really love, like, do lots of fun things when we're learning about shapes and stuff. But I knew what he actually meant. I was like, I now remember a core memory where we were all like
laughing,
so happy together. Yeah. And like, I just think, isn't that just so beautiful? There is that purity. Mm-hmm. But I think the reality is teaching is really hard. Mm-hmm. The pressure is immense. My principal said to me once said to me once, teaching in a specialist setting for a year is equivalent to 5 years in a mainstream setting. People often think specialist easier. You've got less kids. I remember when I was teaching, people would be like, oh, you've only got 10 kids. Oh yeah, I'd love to have only 10 kids in my class. The reality of that is it's incredibly different. What were some of those biggest challenges? It's such a big part of the story, isn't it? Yeah,
I think for me, probably that one of, well, like I had 6 pupils recently, and you know, people would always be like, oh my gosh, 6, and I'd be like, yeah, 5 staff and me. So there's 6 staff. So then people were like, oh, you know, and you're like, are we pictures painted there? Yeah, it's not. And even at that, like most of them, they were all 1-to-1, and so actually I was understaffed because then I was a 1-to-1. Right. So I wasn't a teacher anymore. Yeah. It was very difficult to get teaching done because you couldn't, you know, you felt like you were always a failure. I felt like I was always failing, just because no matter what your day looked like, there was only some pupils you were getting to, and even at that, you were never teaching them at the level that you thought you could push them to, because something else was then going on that you'd have to rush to, or you know, there was days that, you know, all my pupils were just left with my staff, and I was with one pupil all day, just trying to support them. And like staff being pulled to different places, all those resources. I find that very different. I know management and stuff are having the same issues. So it's a result. It's not something that can be solved by really, it feels like anyone at this point. Like it's very difficult to feel supported, I think. And I felt just so like, just like that failure of, even though I knew I was a good teacher. Like I know I'm a good teacher, and the years before that, I'd felt that, and felt that I supported pupils really well. Right. It's just then I think I kind of got into this feeling of like, oh gosh, you know, this is just going to be a year in, year out. You're moved to a new class, you're given new staff, you're given new kids, and then you're so limited in resources, and I just felt like I was like, I don't even feel like I'm making any kind of impact here, because it's just me fighting to get anywhere. Surviving. Yeah, it was survival. It was, and like I loved. It was hard. It's hard to step away from it because I loved the young people. I know you did, yeah. Loved the staff that I worked with. Loved all of that. I just was. It's kind of that feeling of. Yeah, you just felt like I felt like I was like scrambling to breathe all the time, crying all the time when I got home, feeling so burnt out. And you know, I'm only 26, so even that like feeling of how long, you know, I kept being like, oh, I'll get to 30, I'll get to 30 and I'll just keep teaching. And you're kind of like, why would I do that? Yeah.
And I think it's really important, like, thank you for sharing that, Eden, because that's really vulnerable to share too. But like for other teachers, I think also for parents to hear this too, that, you know, none of this is easy. And the reality is, you can meet the best, most incredible teacher who understands young people deeply, but within the system that is incredibly broken right now, and the pressure that then puts upon. And you're right, it's not that you're turning around and being like management XYZ. You're like, this is a systematical issue here of where we need, you know, staff coming in multitudes, because you need backups and reserves and all of that.
You're barely getting like you're getting one person.
And that whole thing is it then like the school system changes slightly in terms of like, you get a class, you stick with the class, and that's your class, you know, that you can be guaranteed certain things and helping with that. But I think the reality is, like, and we know this statistically, of like high of like burnout of young teachers at the minute of coming, and we don't want that. Like that the reality is we need good teachers.
I love to be like those days I came out. I mean, like, I love teaching. I love like all those things I said about. I loved it. But then there was too many days where it was like, it was. This is like, you feel, you know, and then you don't want to feel that towards the young people. You don't want to feel that.
And I think also part of your journey was also, you always wanted, teaching was like a stepping stone for you, that you were like, I know there's something else that I want to really support young people with. And I think I'd love to hear that, because I feel like that's where you've stepped into a wee bit now. So it's not that, and like, again, even like, fair play to you of not like reaching and being aware of yourself, that you don't reach that point of burnout, that then you're not able to then step in and do the thing you love, because you love this. Talk to me about what you're doing now. I see such an alignment with your heart, with what you've stepped into. I mentioned that youth club that you'd set up a few years ago, Capernaum, where you're supporting, you put on a provision for kind of older young people, like teenage. And which I love to talk about if we got time, but now you're supporting young adults. Tell me a wee bit about that. What's that like?
So I started working for a company called Send House 4 months ago now, which is crazy. And so Send House is for young adults, or adults really, with learning disabilities that are just supported for their day opportunity service. So it's Monday to Thursday, and they come in from 9 to 3 every day, and it's just about really placing the value of them in the community. Like they're indispensable to our community, and the belief that, you know, they hold so much value, and we want to give them like a really holistic kind of opportunity for them to be in those places and do the things that they really enjoy as well, which is so important, I think. So I love it, honestly.
And it feels really timely, so because of what's been talked about a lot currently, and I'm sure even when this podcast airs, this will still be ongoing, of like post school. And I think for me, because my brother's 18, so he's leaving school next year, and I already in the back of my head was kind of thinking that like idea of, you know, where should he go, where will he go, is there many opportunities, where like, do I want him just to, like, tech's amazing, but that's for a while it felt like that was the only option. And I think maybe he will go down that route, maybe he won't, but then like all these, there's a few day opportunities that popped up, Send House being one of them, and then now working for them. It's just amazing to feel all those like feelings of supporting again without the immense paperwork and the immense like fear as well, like or like just feeling like so much responsibility was on your shoulders. Actually just getting to have fun. And I really love, I think I've realised with Capernaum, and then with teaching, what I loved was the relationship side. Like I loved building a trust and a bond with young people, more so probably than the like paperwork side of teaching them maths. Like I just realised that. I was like, I want to sit down and talk to them about their weekend, and you know, like have a chat with them when they're struggling about things, and you know, it's just like really. And I think that's really important to note as well, you know, because there will be people and teachers listening that love all of that side of it. And I remember, because I was very similar in terms of I entered teaching knowing I didn't want to stay there, but I didn't know where I was going to go, and I loved it so much. I loved my young people that I taught, like they're forever in my heart. But I remember a really clear moment where there was a certain situation happening, and I had worked so hard at this connection with one of my older young people, and they were sharing something incredibly important and vulnerable about something, and we were like sitting on the ground together. She was sharing a lot of this information, and someone interrupted me and being like, Rebecca, your class waiting for you for maths. And I was like, screw this. I don't care, actually. I do not care about teaching maths right now. And actually for my young people, of where they all were at collectively at that point in the year, maths was not important. You know, there were certain ones.
Went, it would be like you were told, why have you not got that done?
Like, why have we not got that done? Their evidence for learning. What about that? Right. And I understand that systematically. And the school I was in was incredible with that, of like really honouring connection based stuff. But I was the same. I was very much like, no, like these. I just want to be able to create something where the young people are the focus of this, and then and also be able to like support those to understand that connection is key. Like if you get that, you can 100%. Eventually get everything else too.
And even like at that, like, you know, there's still, I feel like I still am teaching, like in small moments, or like
100%.
You know, when some of our people volunteer in a charity shop, so when I'm with them doing that, like there's moments of teaching there because they need support in the community. And I'm like, no, I'm still doing it. It's just without all those like hard moments in between, it almost make you lose the value of what you're doing, you know.
I completely hear that. And I think I'm thinking if I'm a young person, maybe because I'm hearing this, I had a conversation with some young people recently, like 18-year-old girls, and they were talking about what they're going to do at uni, and they kind of are like interested in early years and things like that. If I'm a young person and I've thought about wanting to step into supporting children, young people with differing needs, how do I do that? Like, where's a good place to start? Like, how did you get, because you said you're really young, you're 26, and you have a wealth of experience that people who I meet who are in their 50s don't even have. How do I get that? Such intense experience?
I think an
authentic experience too.
I think it's just looking, like I always did, you know, like the work, like I said, work experience, also summer schemes in special schools. Like I signed up for years for them.
Good on you.
Even though you really don't want, it's the height of summer. It's the last place you kind of sometimes want to be. But actually it's so, because that's like the fun week. It's like no teaching. It's like the best fun. Like if it's a nice week, water sports, like they just have the best time.
And it's full connection then, isn't it?
And I think it's just looking for pockets of that kind of everywhere, and also just more leaning into, like I found even when I was doing, you know, mainstream youth, if I saw someone maybe sitting outside as a group and thought, I wonder if something's, you know, maybe they're feeling a certain way, just sitting beside them, just like looking for maybe those people who are a bit more on the outskirts of things,
opening your eyes
and trying to bring them, seeing like how can I support them,
curiosity,
without actually without it having to be like I sign up for this thing. It's just like just looking around you and kind of being like, how can I learn from the environments I'm already in? But also I think definitely pursuing volunteering. I think volunteering,
and I've seen that in your life a lot. Like you volunteer so much, and then what I've loved is that with Capernaum you then took in others and were like, here's an opportunity to learn and be your eyes and soul be open to the most incredible world. And
like so many of my leaders never
no experience, because that's a big fear for people that I don't know what I don't
so
know what
many.
to do.
That's not for me. It's always that. It's not for me. I'm like, no, but like could like, and then they're there and they're like, this is so fun, because actually you're treated like a celeb. They all love a new leader. Like my brother and all will be coming in, be, all right bro, you know, it's all like they love that, and it's actually like, oh flip, like this is okay, like, and I'm like, it is, like it's so much fun. And all of my leaders I feel like have had that, like and some of them are teachers of mainstream, and they're like, oh, it's so much, you know, I'm able to take so much now into my work, and it's so important, even if you're not, it doesn't have to be your work, like it doesn't have to be your primary work, but to even have that, you know, to be something small that you're volunteering in, I think is so important, just to keep learning and keep, you know, and I'm always learning as well in that. Like a new young person comes along, you're like, okay, this is completely new, like we'll have to work this out.
And not being scared of that, but to lean into the unknown and be like, okay, I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow here.
It's so fun. Like I love that.
And I think volunteering in as many different sectors and things that you want. Like I did work, and like when I was 18, 19, like I was volunteering and working with like music therapists and all of that, because I loved music.
Art therapy.
There's
so many things
and
like that.
And I was able to, I think then I was able to understand all the different sectors, like you said, that there were possibilities of, and I would do a lot of volunteer work with like youth, and then I ended up going out and working in like Romania for summers and being able to support young people in different countries as well with differing needs. And I think it's that whole thing that if you want to do it, there's definite ways, but you have to nearly think maybe outside the box a wee bit, but volunteering, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Summer schemes, things like that, like really
just looking for those like opportunities
and follow. I think now, like it would be so cool. Like it was very different for me. I think in the era of like just when I was that age, social media wasn't as much of a thing. You couldn't find people doing these kind of careers, but like I think it's so exciting now being able to see like even talking to my wee sister, and she's like, she keeps joking, she's like, no, I'll be working for you, like she's training as a dietitian, and I'm like, but yeah, like I love that she can see there's different possibilities rather than I have to go and work in a hospital. That she's like, I'd love to work with young people who have like a complex relationship with food for a wide variety of reasons. And I think it's just, I think also to encourage young people of like, we need you. Like we need people who have a heart 100%. For this.
That's what's missing in a lot of places.
Correct. And like I think even when we talk about staffing and things like that, we're missing people who have heart and who've had heart from early on. You can teach, but I think in recent experiences for myself is one thing you can't teach. Is that true? I think it is. One thing you can't teach is heart. I will meet people and they have the biggest hearts and they go to me, I have no idea what I'm doing here, but I care.
Yes.
Great.
That's all you need. Literally.
Fantastic place to start. And like probably with a lot of your Capernaum volunteers, that's the same. Big hearts, no idea nearly until you're training them and teaching them and they're coming in and learning. And that's so beautiful actually, rather than something to fear. And you've seen this with your volunteers because they're incredible. Like I've been there and they're all are amazing. And you would never know that they haven't had years of experience working with young people with different needs.
Literally,
so good. I think I think that is an important thing to do as well. I think just to round off, I'm such a believer that we can learn so much from neurodivergent children, young people. What's one of your biggest hopes for the future here in Northern Ireland? For young people with different needs in any form, whether that's additional.
I think just that we like open the world a bit more to them, especially I think now working in the Send House and seeing Carter, you know, like that him going into the world, like it's scary, like being like, okay, you're, you know,
off you go.
18 or 19 when you leave school, you've got your whole adult life. How much of that, how much opportunity are you going to get in that space? And I think we are starting to see that. Obviously, like we said, loads of opportunities are opening up. But I think of some of the pupils I've taught in school who haven't got that maybe same ability or have got complex behaviour difficulties or complex medical needs. And I looked and I go, where
are you going?
Where are you going? And that broke my heart. Like leaving, I was like, where do they go? You know, and for a parent, I can't imagine that fear of where do they go. And I think it's something that I'm always thinking of now, you know, what is going to open up here for them, not just like a home, like, you know, or some kind of room that they're just going to have to sit in, you know,
like you'd said before,
or valuable
parts of society that we need.
So it needs to be more, I think, and that's why like I love now working, like I said, for Send House and working in that field, because I feel like I get more an insight into it, but actually that more places open up for not just the ones who can, you know, work in a charity shop and volunteer, for the pupils who still need those sensory stories at 25, you know, still need like all those amazing interaction with an adult who they love. All those things. That's something that's just been recently I've kind of been thinking about, looking at Northern Ireland and, you know, still thinking about how much we need to grow in that area. I think it's just something that I would be curious about.
I love that, Eden. I love that. Okay, time for a quick equip to kind of round us off. Is there a tool or resource that you love?
I love Widget, obviously, for Capernaum, for our visuals.
Yes, great.
And I love for teaching, it was a thing called Sensory Soup.
Okay.
You've not heard of it? No.
I don't know if I have, no.
It's like £5 a month, but it gives you loads of sensory ideas of like sensory massage, play, stories. You just download, I think you get 5 downloads a month or something. And you just download it and it gives you everything. It's called Sensory Soup. And if you're like thinking of a story, I can't think of one. Download it on that. It was my saviour, honestly.
Fab. Because it's so fun being creative, but sometimes you're too tired.
Like, I can't be bothered making a story into a sensory story.
Interest. Like I'm like, please.
So it was good because it gave you.
I love that in one place. A mindset helps you.
I think probably being off that comment of like it's not for me. I think just like always is that openness. Like you have to be just open.
It's really good.
Newness and not just being so stuck in our own box.
And shut down and say, I can't.
It's not, you know, because yeah, it's just not, I don't think we have the right to kind of say that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, it's a really good point,
you know, yeah, I think just being open.
Actually blatant discrimination.
Yeah, so I think we have to just be like open.
Yeah.
And even, you know, for me having maybe more experience, like I always still have to be open. I can't, you know, I can't box up my own experience either.
No, I love that.
Yeah,
no, it's really, I think that's a really, really important one, and I guess that probably links quite well into like that piece of advice.
Yeah, just I think that talking about that volunteer thing, I would always encourage people. I don't want to plug Capernaum, but I'm not going to plug Capernaum. But you know, find something that like
find something you love.
Yeah, or if, like I said, if you're in another section, if you're in another sector, or like you're already doing a youth thing, just be more open to be like, maybe you know that person who people make fun of, or like you see that they're like, oh, they're weird, and you're like, actually,
wait, what's,
you know what, they're not. People just haven't spoken to them, you know, and just be more supportive in that way. I think is just, you'll actually realize, this is actually really fun. Like,
and reaching out, because there's loads of sectors which will happily take on volunteers 100%. As well within that. No, I love that. Eden, thank you so much. I think it's a beautiful journey and story, and I'm genuinely very excited for your future in your space here in Northern Ireland. I think you're going to be one of the key people leading us on. I always have since I met you, and I think we need young people and young adults who are fighting the way and paving the way, so people who are putting in the fights now, that we can keep going with them and we can pick them up and continue on. That's it for today's episode. Hopefully there's something here today that's inspired you, reminds you you're not alone in this journey, and just really encouraged you as well. So Eden, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.